Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much for the invitation. As we explore the fascinating intersection of technology and sports, we are privileged to have with us a professional whose career optimizes and epitomizes the spirit of innovation and leadership in this dynamic field. I am thrilled to introduce Georgia Sapounas, the Senior Director of Digital Products and Innovation at the Cleveland Cavaliers, NBA. Georgia's journey in the world of digital innovation is nothing short of remarkable. From her early days as an elite athlete on Canada's national synchronized skating team to becoming a driving force in the digital sphere of sports industry, her career trajectory is a testament to her versatility and pioneering spirit. Georgia joined us with a wealth of experience that spans across various sectors. At the Cleveland Cavaliers is at the forefront of developing cutting-edge digital solutions, enhancing fun experiences, and leading a team that pushes the boundaries of what's possible in the digital realm of professional sports. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great anticipation that we welcome Georgia today. Her insights are not just a reflection of her professional accomplishment, but also her commitment to pushing the envelope in digital innovation within the sports world. So, Georgia, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful and kind introduction. I really appreciate being hosted here today and getting the opportunity to speak with you all. I'll touch a little bit on my background, as that will then roll into what we're doing at the Cleveland Cavaliers from an innovation perspective. I started figure skating when I was 4 years old. It was that moment when I said, I'm going to be on the national team. I ended up moving forward and becoming a 4-time national champion and 2-time world bronze medalist in synchronized skating. From there, I entered my sports career. I went on to work and activate digital at the Olympic Games. And so I did that for Team Canada and activated the Sochi 2014, Rio 2016, and Pyeongchang 2018 Olympics. I led digital for that organization. And from that perspective, led our content, our products, our digital partnerships, our data initiatives, and our social media. That was an incredible journey. And in terms of what I like to look at and develop within the sports space is around digital innovation. And one of the top drivers in terms of pushing innovation forward within North American sports is the NBA. So I thought no better place to go next than move to the Cleveland Cavaliers and start activating from a digital innovation perspective for them. There was a lot that attracted me to the organization before I even arrived. One of the things right away was I noticed the culture of the innovation. There's one thing that our ownership group does is they've laid out elements called isms. And these are ways to go about your day-to-day, ways to work, ways to interact, essentially the foundation of how we're being as teammates within the organization. There are two that I want to call out to you today and really highlight. Now, these are sayings that seem that just everyday kind of conversational sayings that you would say. So it might sound interesting. Number one, take the roast out of the oven. It's so simple. But what this is speaking to is as you're working on a project, one thing that we can sometimes get lost in is perfectionism or getting it to a certain place before we then launch it, or needing to have various iterations before we go to market with an innovative product. The take the roast out of the oven is really speaking to it's time to take it out, time to launch, time to make it public. Time for it to ship, right? So that's an important element and foundational piece to whenever you're creating something, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of research and development and a lot of ways that you can have iterations along your journey as you're going down that road. So that's the first one I wanted to speak to. The second one I wanted to speak to is yes before no. People will come to you with all kinds of ideas, and you may have all kinds of reactions. One of the principles that we live by is yes before no, because what we want to do there is look at what could this look like? What if we tweak the idea slightly? What if we tried this? And really explore all of those options before shutting something down, because something could really make an impact within the business. The other thing from that perspective, from a brainstorming sense, a couple tools that you could bring with you is in a meeting setting, if you're trying to come up with the biggest idea possible, one of the rules that I like to set within those settings is there's no criticizing any idea at all. Even if it really is terrible, it could spark something in somebody else that then leads them to come up with an idea that is absolutely brilliant. And so if you keep going, yes, and yes, and yes, and how about this? Then you're going to come up with something better than you could have imagined or done just by yourself. So that's where I wanted to start, is with those principles. The second piece from an innovation perspective is that it comes from all areas of the business. Yes, I have innovation in my title. And yes, I am focused on emerging technology and how I can bring new, innovative, emerging technologies to the Cavs, to the business. And people throughout the business are coming across all kinds of elements within their day-to-day. And so whenever somebody comes forth with a tool, a idea, we'll speak to it, we'll entertain it, we'll encourage it. And that's something that's unique to the business at the Cavs in terms of driving innovation forward, is always encouraging that element, always looking at how can you 10x what you're doing instead of just incremental improvements. How can you kind of leapfrog the competition and really get ahead? So that's first and foremost, that's the foundational elements related to how to drive innovation forward, or how to set the foundation so that you have the capabilities to drive innovation forward within a business. All right, next, I want to speak a little bit to our kind of digital products and innovation, our vision within the Cavs organization. So there's a couple things here. Number one, we want to unite and reward passionate Cavs fans and really make them feel a part of something. We want to deliver exceptional user experiences, foster fan base growth, meaningful engagement, and satisfaction. We also want to drive innovation and tech advancement while being a leader in the sports product space. A few things that we do to make this a reality. So we have strategic pillars within the products group: fan first design, tech innovation, scalability, and performance. And one of the things that we always want to do is to try things. When we're looking ahead to how the next generation is going to engage with technology and how they're going to engage digitally with us, there's a lot of R&D that we're doing now to essentially future-proof us so that 10 years from now, we're ahead. We're not kind of starting then to engage them. We're starting now to set up everything that we could and see the success and have the iterations. So by the point that technology kind of catches up and it's mainstream, that we already have that created. So a lot of research and development, a lot of trying new things, and really looking at kind of product over process. So not getting stuck in, here's the exact roadmap or the steps that you have to take. If some of those steps don't happen, no problem, because the end result is truly what you're looking for. Okay. I want to get into specific examples now to speak to what we've done and some elements that can really get you thinking from a digital innovation perspective of what's next for all of us. Firstly, let's talk about free to play. So from a sports betting perspective, that became legalized in Ohio just under a year ago. And we have been playing free-to-play games in our Cavs app. This is our 4th season. And so if you're thinking of something like that, early days in the discussion of this is something that's going to come to fruition, we looked at how can we start engaging our audience now in an element of this so that they're primed once it moves to the sports betting space. It's almost like looking at them from the top of the funnel and ensuring we're bringing them in now, engaging them, iterating, and getting it to a place where we have a highly engaged fan base in this area. This also helps from a strategic partnership perspective, right? Because as betting was going to become legalized, more organizations were growing within our local environment that wanted to become partners of the Cavs. And in order to kind of engage them with specific products that are relevant to them, this is a no-brainer for something to create. So year 4, free to play. The one thing I will say is the journey of this is the very first year that we did it, it was very manual, but it was launched and fans really enjoyed it. But very manual behind a computer screen. We're, sending questions every 30 seconds, marking the correct answer, et cetera, et cetera. But within the iterations by year 3, everything was automated. It's a completely hands-off tool that we're utilizing that kind of pulls in the NBA feed. All the questions are relevant based on the specific gameplay that's happening at that time, and all of them are automatically answered. There's quizzes, polls, kind of all types of different extra bets that you're doing. And that was something that we were one of the first teams to engage in. Another piece for us is personalized videos. So we utilize a video tool. It essentially ingests video and uses artificial intelligence to then automatically score that video out of 5 stars. So it's pulling in every single game in real time. It is scoring every single play that one of our players makes out of 5 stars. It's also listing out who the player is, pulled from the back of the jersey, and then also what the play is. So because we have that tool ingesting this video in real time, it allows us to disseminate our videos in real time across all of our channels. And what we then wanted to do to take it to the next level was to ingest it within the Cavs app, but then also personalize it so the fan is getting to choose what they want to see and when. So essentially, then you're having a filtering capability to say, I want to see Jared Allen's dunks at the top of my feed, and those are going to come in at the top. And so you can kind of customize that. So you pick your favorite players, you pick your favorite plays, and then that's all customized to the fan. We were the first in the NBA to do that in partnership with our app vendor, and then the vendor that allows us to kind of pull in and adjust those videos with the artificial intelligence kind of tagged on top. So that saw a massive increase in video consumption within our Cavs app. It's something that we were really excited to roll out a couple of years ago. Now I want to speak to augmented reality. So there's a lot that we've done with augmented reality within Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, where the Cavs play. One example of that is virtual icons. Last season, what we did ahead of the season was we scanned each of our players. We had a setup with 150 cameras in a dome, and every player stood in the center. And at the same time, 150 cameras went off so that we could get this 3D scan of them. And then what we did was we took that 3D model and put it essentially on a pedestal. So when fans entered the arena, there was a pedestal, and what they could do is scan a QR code, and then with their phone in augmented reality, they could pick which player they wanted to take their photo with. And you could move around from any angle because it was that 3D model and take your photo. That's one example. Another example is we have art that's displayed throughout the field house. When it comes to the NBA, when it comes to basketball, we're really blurring the lines between basketball, sport, and culture. And so from this regard, with that art, we want to look to what are all of the elements that our fans are interested in. And even myself, I'm a huge kind of art lover. I'm an artist. And so this is a really fun project for me to work on and work with all of the artists that are not just locally, but international artists as well. What we did was we brought this art to life through augmented reality. There are elements that are available for fans in the arena. So if they're near that artwork, they can scan the QR code and then it will bring it to life. One example of it is there is this piece of artwork that includes these blown up balloons that spell out Cavs. Now, through your phone, if you're standing in front of it, there's a certain spot that you stand, point your camera in it. One tool that a lot of people don't know about is you can actually blow in the microphone of your iPhone. When you blow in the mic, the balloons disperse on your phone. And so that's something that was very interesting to be able to create and kind of look at a new way to engage in augmented reality. There's another piece of art within the building that has a basketball in the wall, and you can kind of see it looks as if it like slid through the wall. Now, in this case, we have that basketball kind of sliding and moving on, bouncing on the ground. And that is something that fans can engage with in the arena. However, any fan on Instagram can go to the Cavs. And if they choose the filters tab, then what they can do is pull up those experiences and look at that art right within their home through their camera lens. So another one as well that we did from an augmented reality experience was during the playoffs at the tail end of last season. Now, this augmented reality was targeted specifically for a young audience. And what they were able to do is we overlaid games. So for example, if there's a break in play, or even if play is going on and they're young and they want to there's several things in terms of that they want to engage with at the same time per their behavior habits. They can pick up the phone and point it towards the court and start playing so that they're kind of shooting the ball from their phone into, and what ends up happening is throughout the court, these kind of different baskets start opening up and you can be playing that. So there was a few different games that we had available to them. And that was something that was played quite a bit during the playoffs. So those are some examples of augmented reality. Now I want to move forward and speak to you a little bit about some of our kind of 3D video modeling. So we have Canon cameras installed throughout the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse building. We're one of 2 NBA teams that do this. Now, what those cameras do is they're scanning a full 3D scan of the players in real time as the game's going on. What this allows us to do is create a full digital twin of the game with very low latency. We're talking a couple seconds. So in very near real time, you're having a full digital twin of the game of our players in 3D modeling. So whenever you want, you could drop yourself into an incredible play. You can drop yourself right below the basket and see it from that angle. You can drop yourself into center court. You can see never seen before footage and angles through that capability of having that digital twin. We had Donovan Mitchell hit his 71-point game last season in January. And that kind of put back that he did right before the buzzer, that's something where you could literally stand right beside him and see it from that angle. Through a virtual reality headset. Now, this particular product could become so many different things in terms of what it becomes for mainstream fans in order to them to engage with it. Step 1 was installing the cameras and then getting this to a quality and output that is really exciting. And it's incredible to see fans' faces light up when we have them experiment with this with our headsets in stations within the building. We also have Sony cameras installed throughout the entire Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Now, what this one does is it scans your skeleton. So it scans the player skeleton, same thing, you're getting your digital twin of the game. And then what we're able to do from that is put avatars on top of the players so that, for example, a fan could swap out the avatar. They could swap out the skin of the game to kind of various patterns or whatever it is that we design. And so that's another one that we're looking forward to creating and engaging our next generation audience with a tool like that. All right, let's now move over to a couple other elements. Let's talk about digital collectibles. 3 years ago, this space was booming, and it was something that we knew in very short order we needed to do some research and development in, and that we needed to experiment in, and that we needed to create an incredible program for our fans that were already within this space for them to engage with us in. So we launched My Cavs Locker. Now, what this was a number of, so first of all, 100,000 fans could claim their free locker that they could then start collecting the items for sale that would go in the locker. So anything from foam fingers to jerseys to one of my favorites actually was this jacket. And the jacket, we minted various designs, and then there was a hierarchy to the designs as well. So, for example, if you were one of 5 that got the gold jacket, then you actually got the physical jacket mailed to you in real life. And that jacket was beautiful, and it was one of 5. And so we really added this kind of contesting and IRL component to the collectible, really bridging the gap to where people are now and the digital world. So essentially those 100,000 lockers were gone very quickly. I think it was within a day. And then the collectible started. There were certain regulations that allowed us to market only specifically to ticketed fans in arena. And so that is what we did. And I think it was over 3,000 collectibles were purchased that season. And it was a truncated period of time because it was the tail end of that particular season. But we had people filling their lockers with these digital collectibles. And it was a huge success. We ended up winning a Sports Business Journal honorary mention for that tech innovation and that program. And so from there, what we looked at was, where are people engaging in that space now? What would they like to see moving forward, and what can we create? So in year 2, we created the Cavs Gold Pass. Now, what that is an access pass that gets fans access to membership perks that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. Examples of that. So there's 2 components to this, by the way. One is for our local fan, and one is to be launched, and that is for our global fan. The local fan, however, in terms of the perks and the things that they can get from purchasing this, is they can get courtside access to watch the Cavs warm up before a game. They can get their picture taken on the court after the game. We had various rewards like our ownership seats that sit courtside during the game. You could win those. There is, in year 2 of this program, one example that we added in was dinner with Cavs legends. And so also a trip to an away game. And a couple of our fans were flown out to Vegas during Summer League and got to meet players and watch Summer League games in Vegas. And so these are types of experiences that are only available to our Gold Pass community. And what they're doing is they're purchasing this digital collectible, and then the digital collectible unlocks the ability to claim the perks for all of these types of experiences that I'm explaining. It also is bringing our fans together in this niche community and engaging them with their interests and engaging them where they're at. So that's Gold Pass. A couple final things I want to touch on is the way in which we operate in our day-to-day. So everything that I've explained so far are elements that I work on and that I focus on in emerging technology. I also manage all of our products. So whether that's Cavs.com, Cavs app, all of our email marketing, there's kind of the day-to-day operations of the business that we also always look to optimize. So one example of that is we work with a contest vendor, and that particular contest vendor, they're incredible. we're always kind of pushing the vendors that we work with to add in new features and new components. So this particular one, we wanted to focus on data and what data we're getting from our audience. Super simple, but from a contesting perspective, most people go to enter a contest, you're entering the same thing every single time, your name, maybe your phone number, email address, and entering in. We wanted that form. If somebody else has ever entered a contest with us and they've answered those questions, we don't want them to ever have to answer them again. So the second they put their email in, that's that kind of core piece of data. The question after that changes every single time. So your access to enter that contest is going to be answering our questions. And the questions are in priority order of what we want to receive in terms of data points from fans. And if I've answered question number 1, then question number 2 displays, or question number 3, if I've already entered 2 other contests before, then the third one displays, so that we're collecting these very valuable pieces of data on our fans to build out their profile, to then personalize their experience and give them what they want. Additionally, from a web perspective, we utilize a platform that's a no-code platform. We want to be creating what we create in the day-to-day in terms of our web experiences as efficiently as possible. And so we're always looking at what tools are giving us the capabilities to do that. I will close out just speaking to next generation planning. Something that we are always doing is looking at what are other emerging technologies that we need to be reviewing, that we need to be diving into, that we need to be dreaming up what we're going to create next. I spoke to earlier within this talk about artificial intelligence. That is going to change everything we all do, the way we work, the way we operate. I gave the example of our video technology and the way that artificial intelligence tags kind of all those videos. It's something that's been around for a while, and it's moving to a place that it's a consumer product now that we are all engaging with in various ways. And so I want to leave you with the thinking of how is that changing what you do in your day-to-day? What can you do to learn more about that technology? What can you do to, let's say, even if you're working with ChatGPT and you want to learn how to iterate your prompts to get the best output? What would that look like in 10 years, and what can you create in the meantime? I'll pause there.
Nice, amazing. Okay. I have too many notes here, and it's a pity that we don't have you live here in Athens for real-time patients from the people attending the event. But I hope this opens up and the opportunity for you to join us maybe next year to the next event, because you've done amazing work, for fantastic activations, and I have a lot of questions, so I will prioritize the questions according to our time. So, great. How do you measure success of a digital initiative? Are there some specific metrics or KPIs that you prioritize in order to see if an initiative is accepted by the fans, has a lot of participations and engagement?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. The ways in which we measure our objectives and KPIs, we lay them out ahead of every season. Overall, we want to grow the brand, we want to drive fan affinity, and we want to generate revenue. We categorize various elements of objectives. So the first one is reaching fans through exciting and entertaining content, contests, and programs. Secondly, we want to engage them with content that encourages active participation. We want to acquire them onto our owned platforms. That has us gain valuable insights for our brand and for our partners. We want to monetize the products that we create and the content. And we want to evolve our brand and our business through a couple kind of net new or innovative products every year. And we set these types of objectives that essentially pushes us to ensure that we're always driving innovation forward in the business. So from those categories, you've got reach, engage, acquire, monetize, evolve. Very simple. It's something that everybody can kind of have top of mind of, this is what we're aiming to do. And then we get specific in terms of what does that look like across each element. So as it pertains to our Gold Pass program, it would be, passes sold and perks claimed that our fans have engaged with. So, very simple in terms of that piece of it. A big one for us is around our Cavs United profile. So fans can log in, and when they log in, they get various benefits from being part of that. Examples is kind of early access to playoff tickets. And so with that high demand, it's in their best interest to kind of be within that community. So we would have specific acquisition goals of how many Cavs profiles would we like to increase by each year. And then we'll create various activations so that we can have and reach that particular goal.
Okay. What are your favorite platforms, social media, all the digital assets that you manage, like the Gold Pass? I see there's a microsite or an app as well.
Yeah, so Gold Pass is a web app.
Web app. Okay.
In terms of my favorite, that's such a good question.
Yeah. I love the Gold Pass. I just had it through yesterday, and it's fantastic. How important is for your fans, the local fans and the global fans, these options of personalization that you have for them?
So personalization, it's obviously a buzzword within the industry, but it's also an incredibly important thing to focus on as it pertains to each of us. And the way that we engage with social media now, everything is so personalized in terms of what is being shown for us. I don't know how much time you all spend on Instagram, for example, but the ads on Instagram for me are so refined that it ends up being content that I want to see or something that I've been meaning to purchase. That's how refined that personalization is. And so what that then creates is this behavior of us going back more often. And so as it pertains to personalization for us in the Cavs app specifically, that behavior of that being the go-to destination for anything that a fan would want or need to engage with that has them coming back more often is of utmost importance. So if we can display the content that they're engaging with the most often at the top of their feed, that's going to keep them coming back. So we want to be doing that across every platform that we have. We want to be doing that in email so that it's customized to certain segments. We create journeys within email so that that's the case with .com as well. So let's say there's a particular item that sold out from the team shop that you purchased last season. And now it's a collection and there's another item that was just launched. When that's launched, because you purchased that, we want that to be at the top of your feed. So hey, here's the latest one that's there. And of course, you're more likely to purchase. So it's good for business.
Okay. So it's very important. So according to your role, how do you foster collaboration between the different departments in the team, such as marketing, IT, and all the other operations in order to ensure a cohesive digital strategy for each activation that you create?
Mm-hmm. Fantastic question. This is something that the Cavs does really well. The operational units with it, the Cavs and all of the team members, it's of utmost importance from a cultural perspective for there not to be any kind of lines or gates between teams. We work together and cross-functionally on everything. So our office is all very, it's an open environment. And then of course, through all of the tools when we're working virtually, everybody is a quick ping away. In terms of our meetings, you have an idea of who from which area of the business needs to be involved and kind of set that up. Communication, whether it's in passing, whether it's kind of a note to a wider group of an initiative that's being rolled out, these regular cadence of that communication so that everybody's in the know of what's going on when, utmost important. Because the thing is you might be, it's human nature to kind of almost like sometimes miss one element or you could have brought somebody in a little bit earlier into a project, right? And so these relationships, to have people throughout the business talking about your project, talking about kind of what's going on for them, what's on their list of priorities, is very important. From a senior leadership perspective as well, there's kind of regular cadence in terms of meeting and communicating with everybody in the business of what's going on. Also, kind of our all team meetings, we kind of spend the time having people throughout the business speak to kind of projects that are coming up or projects that have just launched, so that everybody's always in the know. So I would say the biggest thing here is about relationship. It's such an important aspect of business to build those strong relationships with everyone throughout your business, your peers in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. Even on that front, I speak to all of my peers throughout the NBA. So the version of me that may be at the Chicago Bulls or at the Spurs will connect on a very regular basis through a Slack channel that we've created. So because a lot of our business goals are aligned. And so, why wouldn't we speak to what are your priorities now? What are you guys working on? What tools and vendors do you like? This one that I see you're using in your app, how is that going for you? And so those connections are really important in order to kind of drive success within the business.
Great. So what are the biggest challenges that you face, as you mentioned, when it comes to balancing innovation with the practical aspects of a digital product management? What are the challenges there for you?
That's a good question, for sure. When it comes to kind of, let's say, working on automating a product. So I'll speak to Gold Pass. Year one of launching Gold Pass, you're essentially getting it off the ground. We were the first team to launch a program of that kind and launch an access pass. And with that, there's no roadmap. There's no roadmap of here is what is going to make this successful. You're creating that roadmap. And so within that process, there are going to be some inefficiencies that naturally are going to be present. So, for example, upon launching, we have a whole bunch of perks that local people can claim. And there's all of the other pieces underneath that still need to be worked out. How are these people getting notified with information related to, like, let's say a know before you go related to their perk, so they can know everything that they are going to have within the experience? Are they getting notified? Who's getting notified? The data and the way that it's pulled in, right? And so sometimes with when you're really racing to get an innovative product out or be first or even be early so that you can iterate and be ahead of your competition, you're going to have those inefficiencies, and that's okay. Because essentially it's kind of like building the plane while you're flying it. As that plane is being flown, then we're creating, okay, now we're pulling in all the data. Now we're creating the automation. Now we're figuring out kind of the most efficient way to do this piece so that it is kind of being created and getting to the most efficient place in operations as possible. So that's a natural thing that arises with driving innovation.
Right. So I have two more questions. Looking ahead, what emerging digital trends and tools do you think will have the most significant impact in your area, in professional sports teams like the Cavs or the NBA teams or big sports organizations?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. It's artificial intelligence, for sure, hands down, in terms of the biggest impact that it's going to have on our business over the next 10 years. That is going to literally impact every aspect of our lives and everything that we do. So that's one piece. The other thing that I would say is the way that I spoke to the digital twins of games, that is going to change viewing behavior, viewing habits, kind of the ways that people can consume the game. And especially when you're looking at the next generation audience, they're distracted, right? In terms of their day-to-day, there's so much that they're seeing, that they're engaging with. When you look at the way that technology will evolve, whether it be through glasses, right now it's always that screen in our phones, but the way in which we live and operate in our day-to-day lives will shift and change. And so for us, getting ahead of that with this technology and ensuring that we're focused on that volumetric video now will then help us be ahead as that technology adoption shifts to mainstream.
Okay. And the last question, and I think it's a question that many people are attending the event would ask for you. If someone wants to follow your career, a similar career in sports, digital innovation, and digital marketing, what advice would you give them based on your experiences so far?
I love that question. When I'm thinking of how I was successful, kind of moving from one element to the next, the first thing I would say is, from a networking perspective, ensure that you're heading to events, that you're asking questions, and even if it's a speaker that you see on stage, approaching them and asking questions and getting connected after that. Very, very important. Number two, in terms of the way in which you kind of display your skills to get your foot in the door, that's step one. It's almost getting your foot in the door or getting that initial interview, and then having the confidence that once you have that you can do the rest with your skills and your abilities that you've fostered over the years that you have, right? And so with that, it's going above and beyond in terms of how you would display the vision that you have for the organization, essentially what you can do to make a difference for them, the organization, or for whatever it is that you're creating, and have the utmost confidence in your skills and abilities as you're looking to kind of showcase that. The next piece would be, once you're in that role, once you're doing what you want to be doing in your day-to-day, of push the boundaries, push the limits, go after those, elements that could create the biggest impact on the business. Take risk, experiment, iterate. Do that with your teammates, enjoy it along the way, right? Remember to kind of enjoy the moments and take time to reflect and kind of celebrate the wins that you have. And I'd say, as you continue to do that, then it's just kind of more creation, more inventing, more pushing the limit, and you'll be rewarded for that.
Totally agree with you, Georgia. We totally agree from my experience as well. So thank you very much for your time and for sharing your beautiful experience. Truly inspiring. It was an absolute honor and pleasure to have you with us today, maybe next year live. Okay, I will keep that a note to people organizing the events. Thank you very much. And we see you, we will follow you, the social media and all the digital innovation activations that we'll do with the Cavs, definitely.
Wonderful. It's been my absolute pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.